The right book can change your whole paradigm. It can expose you to new ways of thinking, and I want to share 12 books that have done just that for me. The first is from Leo Tolstoy. This is the only work of fiction in this list, and it's called How Much Land Does a Man Need? Now, this book is great because, number one, it's short, right? It's a short story, but it hit me like a haymaker. The message is powerful, and it opens up certain questions that resonate for me, such as how much muscle does a man need? How much money does a man need? So this is highly recommended from Mr. Tolstoy. The second book, this is for those interested in the workings of the mind. It's called Influence by Robert Cialdini. Now, this is all about understanding the mechanisms that are used to manipulate people's behavior, the mechanisms that are used to influence us to take certain actions. I think it's imperative to understand these tactics and tricks that are used to influence our behavior so that we can protect ourselves from them and get a better understanding of the forces that are at play. I highly recommend this if you're interested in marketing, if you're interested in psychology, to get a solid understanding about these tools that are used to influence our behavior. The third book, this book is about the intersection of psychology and spirituality. I can't believe that I hadn't encountered this book until I turned 34. This book is called The Road Less Traveled by Scott Peck. Scott Peck is a psychiatrist. Scott Peck is someone who writes with such clarity about the intersection between spirituality and psychology, and I just found myself nodding in agreement, taking all types of notes. I'm thinking, bro, how did I not encounter this book? But I'm glad that I certainly did. I think it gives one a beautiful understanding of how one can really achieve spiritual growth. And this road, the road is narrow, as they say, and this book is pivotal on my journey. Another book is Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. This book was written by Mr. Frankl, who was a victim of the Nazi concentration camps. And this book is split up into two parts. One part is about the harrowing experience that he underwent. But then the second part of the book, it opens up the lessons learned from that experience and how he was able to find meaning despite the most horrific and harrowing treatments one could possibly imagine. So this book was very, very powerful, and one of the key takeaways is with the right why, then it seems that it's possible to survive any type of what. That is a highly recommended book. The next book, this fellow has already appeared on this list. This is again Leo Tolstoy, and this book is called What is Art? Now, this book is absolutely fascinating. I'm someone who enjoys art, music, right, films, whatever, paintings, but I had never really thought deeply about what is art, right? I know that I enjoy it, I know what I like, and I know what I don't like, but to actually take it deeper and explore this, and that's exactly what Mr. Tolstoy does. So he creates a certain criteria, a certain framework that he believes constitutes true art. And as I'm reading this book, I'm nodding my head. I'm thinking, you know what? That's a great point. He talks about the need for art to infect people with emotions, for art to seriously consider the subject matter, and the subject matter should be inspiring and pulling people towards being a better version of themselves. He suggests that art, true art, should speak to the highest ideals of the day. So I found these ideas compelling, and it made me kind of re-examine, okay, what is my own criteria for a true work of art? Another book right here, King, Warrior, Magician, Lover. Now, this book is from Robert Moore and Douglas Gillette. And this book, they say it's a bold map for traveling the masculine psyche. There's a lot of talk in mainstream culture about masculinity is this, toxic masculinity is that. And this book right here, it provided a beautiful exploration of what a healthy, balanced, mature masculinity might look like. So just to give you a little quote over here, an exciting view of masculinity, one rooted not in domination but in creativity and empowerment of the self and others. It's a liberating guide to self-transformation. It makes for very compelling reading, and it introduces some very interesting ideas in terms of forming this mature and balanced masculinity. So I would highly recommend that book. This next author, it was very difficult to narrow it down to one of his books, but I'm going to give it a go. I'm talking about none other than Joseph Campbell, prominent mythologist of our times. And the book that I'm going to recommend is Myths to Live By. There's also The Hero with a Thousand Faces, but I like the way the concepts are construed in Myths to Live By. Myths are very important in terms of helping us to understand, make meaning of the world, contemplate what happens at death, and just to kind of deal with the different stages of life. So myths are very important in establishing our place in the world. And Joseph Campbell, in this book, he outlines some useful myths to live by. One of the myths that I really enjoy is the mythology of outer space being a representation of inner space. So being able to go into those depths, into uncharted territory. So I like the way he has kind of conceptualized the space travel and what that means in terms of us and our own inner journey. So that's Mr. Joseph Campbell. The next book that I want to talk about is Mistakes Were Made, But Not By Me. It's by Carol Tavris and Elliot Aronson. And so this book is about cognitive dissonance. So cognitive dissonance, this is what happens when two beliefs are in contradiction. This is what you feel when there's disharmony between your beliefs and your actions. And this book helped me understand why it's so difficult to let go of a belief, why a belief can take somebody over, why it's so difficult for people to change their mind. So contemplate this question. When was the last time that you changed your mind about something? So if you're interested in learning about some of these workings of cognitive dissonance, then this is a great book to check out. The next book, I'm going to give you the title. This is called The Molecule of More: How a Single Chemical in Your Brain Drives Love, Sex, and Creativity and Will Determine the Fate of the Human Race. This is a book by Daniel Lieberman and Mike Long. And of course, it's talking about dopamine. Now, for me, this book was very, very interesting because it gave me an interesting framework or an interesting paradigm to look at addiction. It helped me to understand, why is the world the way it is? Some of the questions that it looks to tackle are the following. Why are we obsessed with the things we want only to be bored when we get them? Why is addiction perfectly logical to an addict? Why does love change so quickly from passion to indifference? Why are some people die-hard liberals and others hardcore conservatives? So in this wonderful exploration of dopamine, those questions and more are answered. Okay, let's take a little turn now. So this next book right here, look at this. We're talking about etymology. Now, words are powerful. We're talking about books in this video, but words can shape our perception. Words can shape our reality. Words and understanding of these words, for me, is crucial in understanding the world. And so etymology, studying the history, the root of words, I believe that by studying etymology, we can get a greater understanding, because there's something about the meaning that was captured in these words, in these symbols in ancient times, in earlier times. So I love studying etymology. And of course, you don't need to buy this bulky book. To be honest, when I look at etymology, a lot of the times it's a simple Google search and I go on my way. But it's always nice to be able to open up this etymology dictionary and find out how some of these words came into existence. This book is called Children Who Remember Previous Lives. And what is this book about? This book is about reincarnation. This is a paradigm shifting idea. And this book provides very, very compelling evidence and cases that suggest that there are children who can remember their past lives. It's a book by Dr. Ian Stevenson, who researched past life phenomena extensively, documenting thousands of cases. This is a game-changing paradigm right here. So if you're open-minded, I recommend you check it out and see if there's another way to explain the phenomena that's observed in these cases. And finally, the final book is The Gnostic Gospels by Elaine Pagels. Now, Elaine Pagels has written about the history of Christianity, and in this book, The Gnostic Gospels, why it was important for me was to kind of understand that once upon a time, there were many different aspects of Christianity. There were competing Christianities, but one ultimately decided that this is the orthodox, and it decided to subdue other interpretations of Jesus's message. And so understanding that there was a multiplicity of competing beliefs once upon a time, it helped me to better understand why the world is in the state that it is. And so I do recommend this if you're interested in Christianity, the history of Christianity, and why the Bible in its current form ended up the way it did, why certain books were omitted from the Bible. A lot of these books were discovered in Nag Hammadi cave in Egypt, and they call these the Gnostic Gospels. Very interesting reading. So that was it, 12 books that really opened my eyes and introduced new frameworks and paradigms. What do you think about these books? Have you read any of these books? And of course, flipping the question back to you, what is a book, or what are some books that have really impacted your life, that maybe have changed your life even, or opened you up to new frameworks and ways of thinking?